So this is the role of publicity, advertising, and educational sales. So 5 categories of a target market. So there's what's called introduction marketing, proactive referral marketing, lead marketing, passive referral, and cold calls. Every marketing you do falls into one of these categories. Now, you're going to get a higher probability of business dealing with introductions versus cold calls. Okay? The difference, what is the difference between one? Why will I have a 75% chance of getting business if it's in an introduction category and only a 1% if it's a cold call? It has to do with 2 things, trust and need. Cold call, no trust, I don't even know if there's any need. That's why it's the lowest form of getting business. Okay? Introduction category, high trust, and I know there's a need. That's why it's 75%. So, depending on the type of marketing, is there more trust or less trust, or higher probability of need of lower probability of need? That's what's already going to set the stage for me. Now, having said that, the Pareto principle or 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle is the 80-20, the law of vital few, states that for many events, roughly 80% of the effects come from 20% of the causes. This is a big deal right here, 80-20 rule. 80-20. In other words, a vast minority will affect a great majority. In other words, it's really, instead of 80-20, it's really like 18-17-3. And the example is there's only 6% of seats, first class seats on an airplane. It represents 33% of the gross revenue. In other words, a very small percent has a great effect. How does this relate to your chiropractic office? 3% of your patients are overwhelmingly giving you 10, 15, or 20% of the referrals. Not 3%. 20% of your people are giving you 80% of your referrals. So if I'm going to ask for referrals, who do you think I'm going to target? The 80% that gives 20% or the 20% that gives 80%? The top 6 categories of marketing, there's demographics, geographics, psychographic barriers, gateways, vehicle deliveries. I'm going to pay attention to all these. In other words, it's called a target market. I'm going to pay attention to each of those, and the more that I have them in line, when I actually do the marketing, I'm going to have higher success rate automatically, just because I'm already in a higher probability target market. That's all. That's the core of any marketing. So after a target market, I'm going to use these. That's the core of a purchase right there. Need relative to obstacles divided by trust. Those are the 3 levers. Okay? Now, all need, after need is established, there's 5 reasons why people purchase. Those are the 5 reasons: trust, location, price, service, quality. Totally varies. Trust is always number 1 in every category. The rest of them vary. With a chiropractic patient, number 2, location is 75% after trust. Price is about 15% to 20%. Quality and service is only 3% respectively. So the role of publicity and advertising and the marketing campaign definition versus an advertisement. So a marketing campaign is a specific defined series of activities used in marketing of a new or product or service, or in using marketing channels or methods. Okay? Now, the role of publicity, advertising, and educational. So publicity typically is to affect trust, create authority, name recognition. It will only attract people that are absolutely ready to buy. High need. Very, very low percent of the market. Very small market. So chiropractic, it's small. So it's only used, remember, of the 3 factors, advertising is used to affect the need, the obstacles, and trust. It's to stimulate interest, desire, help to minimize or remove obstacles. Okay? Remember, if there's no need, I don't care about your offer if there's no need. I don't care about time. I don't care about money. I don't care about trust if I don't have a need. None of that matters to me. Okay? So why is this important? 75% of the attorneys, there's no need for chiropractors. There's no perceived need. There's a big need because 87% of the injuries are soft tissue injuries. There's no, just like in the general public, there's a big need for chiropractic, But 92% of them are not looking for chiropractors. So, educational sales does all three. It establishes need, it affects the obstacles, and it affects trust. That goes in the masses. So that's why we have to use it.